I'm Julie Anderson with Translation Commons. One of our projects is the Language Digitization Initiative. In this project, we collaborate with Indigenous communities that are in the process of digitizing their language, that is, making their language usable on digital devices such as cell phones, laptops, computers, etc. Today, I will be speaking with Dev Kumar Sunuwar, who is digitizing the Sunuwar language, which is spoken in Eastern Nepal and Sikkim. Thanks for joining us. So thank you, Dev, for joining me today. It's nice to see you. For our listeners, I would like to give a short introduction of you. I'm talking today with Dev Kumar Sunuwar. He is a journalist, law practitioner, and law professor at Tribhuvan University in Nepal. He has been appointed by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres as a member of the UN Voluntary Fund for Indigenous Peoples for a 3-year tenure through December 2023. Dev has written extensively on international human rights, especially regarding Asian indigenous peoples. And he also has a background in media, where he has co-founded the Indigenous Media Foundation, Indigenous Television Station, which is Nepal's and South Asia's first community television, indigenous community television. Also satellite television and a couple of community radio stations. So please correct me on any of that. And again, thank you for being here today. We're here to talk about your process and your experience in digitizing the Sunuwar language, which is spoken in Eastern Nepal and Sikkim, I understand. So please, can you share what got you interested in working on digitizing your language and how did you get started?
First of all, thank you so much, Julie Anderson, for inviting me to speak up about the effort that we have been undertaking in digitizing the Sunuwar script, which is known as Point Brace. Point basically means the Sunuwar. When we introduce ourselves, we call as points. So the Brace is all about the script, right? So the process that we initiated in 2020. So before I talk about the Sunuwar script, first let me just explain you about the Sunuwar indigenous peoples, right? So Sunuwar is one of the indigenous nationalities or indigenous peoples who are officially recognized as one of the 59 indigenous peoples of Nepal. That means government of Nepal has recognized to as many as 59 caste groups or ethnic groups as indigenous peoples. So Sunuwar is one of them. So in 2002, government actually had adopted a law called the National Foundation for Development of Indigenous Nationalities, which is NFDIN Act 2002. So under that act, the government actually listed 59 ethnic and caste groups as indigenous peoples. And so Sunuwar is one of them. So Sunuwar, as I told you earlier, they identify themselves as Point. And while other communities, they identify them or they recognize them as Mukhya or Sunuwar, some say Coins, and so on. And their population, as per the 2011 census, though the recent census already concluded, but we are still to get the report. But as per the 2011 census, their population, I mean, the population of Sunuwar indigenous peoples is 55,712. That is almost 56,000. So out of 56,000 population, almost 37 or 38,000, merely about 30,000 populations or people speak Sunuwar mother tongue, right? They speak their mother tongue. And the Sunuwar indigenous language, like other indigenous people's language, are, I mean, the Sunuwar, which is one of the written, this is not, I mean, the indigenous peoples are oral community, right? Oral community, and they mostly use, I mean, their language mostly is oral, right? So I mean, the Sunuwar language, which is not written, mostly transferred from one person to another through a oral, and this language is spoken at the community level, or at the community, at the household. But at the school, we write in Nepali, and in the college or in the job, we work in English. So and this is not only story of only Sunuwar indigenous peoples, but in Nepal, the 2011 census recorded 123 different languages spoken in Nepal. And this 2021 actually recorded 6 more. So that means 129, almost 130 languages which are spoken in Nepal. And almost 90% of them are spoken by indigenous peoples. That means about 118 out of 130 languages are spoken by indigenous peoples. So these all indigenous peoples, you know, though some of them have a script and not many have Unicode, so that they don't have a presence in the website or internet. And these all the indigenous people's language, they are practiced only in the community level, at the household only. So all of them, the practice into Nepali. And when, even if they use their language into a writing, they actually depend on the another script called Devanagari script, Devanagari script, because of the lack of Unicode. They cannot write into or they cannot publish their article or any articles into a website or internet world. So that is the status. And though the Sunuwar Welfare Society, which is an umbrella organization of all Sunuwar indigenous peoples in Nepal, which was formed during 1990s, and the all Sunuwar indigenous peoples organizations, which are established in Sikkim or UK or even in the USA or other part, are the sister organization of the Sunuwar Welfare Society, right? Which is called the Sunuwar Seva Samaj as well. Sunuwar Welfare Society, which was established in the 1990s, 1998, right? If I'm not mistaken. And it has branch offices. It has a district, provincial now, district and ward offices. And it has a sister organization in different part of the countries as well. And though the Sunuwar indigenous communities use their language to document into newspaper or into a writing, they actually depend on the Devanagari script, right? So, and in order to use, I mean, more than this, the government actually have forcefully used the Nepali, which is the Khas Nepali language, as the medium for the education, or the medium for the government business, or education, including a media, right? So uh, all the indigenous communities language which actually have been marginalized, they don't have a presence in the newspaper or any content, and government actually has officially declared Nepali as official language. So not many indigenous people's language been lucky enough to use their language into a different medium. So lately, what we did is in in the year 2020, I guess in 20 February, I guess in February, once there was the high level, I mean, there was a high level event, UN, the UNESCO, which actually organized the high level event in Mexico, in Los Pinos, I guess, in
Yes.
Los Pinos in February 2020, in order to officially conclude the 2019, the International Year of Indigenous Languages, and also to adopt the action plan for the International Decade of Indigenous Languages. That time I was invited to speak at the event, being a chairperson of Indigenous Television, which was the official, one of the official media partner of the UN to promote the 2019, that International Year of Indigenous Languages. So I was invited to speak on the role of the media for the revitalization of Indigenous languages. So at during that, right after I just spoke, where I made with Mrs. Janet Stewart, the founder of Translation Common.
Yes.
So that time we introduced each other. So 1 year later, when I returned back to Nepal, and she went back to US, and she continued her work, and actually she made offer that Translation Common would help in digitizing the indigenous languages. So actually she made offer that her organization would help in digitizing the indigenous language, our community language actually. So we already had that the script, which was the Sunuwar, our community actually had a script which was not invented, but which was found in, which was inscribed in old animal skin. And that inscription was found in during 1940s, in the year 1940s. And some indigenous, I mean, not indigenous, Sunuwar right activists actually, they after they found that animal screen which was about to fade away, that writing was about to fade away. So he actually, the one person, we should not forget his name, I think I should mention his name, is Karna Sunuwar. He comes from Suri Khari village of Dolakha district, which is the eastern part of Nepal. So he copied and re-engraved that that script into a fresh animal screen, and he actually brought into a discussion of that script that was, as I said, during 1940s. So in his leadership, for the first time, they organized, I mean, the Sunuwar leaders actually, Sunuwar leaders or elders, they organized a discussion program in the year 1943 that what we find in some writings. So they came, I mean, the Sunuwar elders came together, they discussed about that, the inscription which was written in the animal skin. And right after this symposium or discussion or interactions, and or at the same time, other two members, actually, they also aided some of the numbers, some of the symbols in the number that denotes the number. So their name was, I mean, two women we should not forget is Sam Lakshmi Sunuwar and Ganga Maya Sunuwar. So these two women actually aided the number, some symbols that actually denotes the number. So later on, the same script was taken to another district in 1947. So during that period in Nepal, there was Panchayat era. I mean, the rulers of Nepal actually had imposed one language, one race, one religion rule in Nepal. So though we already had a script, and our Sunuwar elders could not promote them, right? Because the government was imposing, and we actually had what do you call the worst rule, so that we could not, I mean, not our elders could not promote the script though. So and during 1960s, though that discussion was held in another part, and not many works were conducted. And during the 1960s, right? So first, the script was identified or found in 1940s, and in the 1960s, another person, KB Jayantis, Karna Bahadur Jayantis, whenever you search in a Google about the Sunuwar script, you will find his name, KB Jayantis, right? KB Jayantis. So Jayantis script also you will find somewhere. So though he comes from eastern part of Nepal, he was serving in the British Army. Right from 1942, I mean 1940s to 1960s. So he served throughout his life, and as he had money and he had an interest to work towards the indigenous, I mean, Sunuwar community. So he came across, and he just knew that, our script was there. So he collected those scripts, and he improved some, writing, and he actually put those script into alphabetical order. And he actually promoted these scripts by printing or taking photographs of these scripts, and he promoted, and he wrote through handwriting as well. And he circulated. So he had a money, he traveled to a different part of Nepal, and also he came across with the, he also came in contact with some colleagues, then colleagues in Darjeeling or in Sikkim, different part of the country as well. So, as a photographer, he promoted, and as he was the British Army, so he had a money, he traveled, and he documented, and he also shared with other colleagues as well. So and in 1990s, the Pawan Samling, one of the chief minister of Sikkim, the Pawan Samling, who was appointed, who ruled the Sikkim for 25 years regularly. So he came in the power in 1990s. That time, the Sunuwar community who were residing in Sikkim, they were united and they formed an organization. So that is Mukhya Koinsbu, so Mukhya Brothers organization they formed. And that time, I mean, the representative of Sikkim Mukhya or Sikkim Sunuwar organizations, they submitted a memorandum to the chief minister of the Sikkim, right? The Pawan Samling, who was serving as chief minister in serving. So they actually urged chief minister to recognize the Mukhya script. Mukhya, as I said, for Sunuwar, some other people recognize them as Mukhya as well, or Sunuwar as well, or Kointi as well. So they urged chief minister of Sikkim to recognize Mukhya script, or Sunuwar script, as official language of Sikkim as well. So in the year 1996, Sikkim government recognized the Sunuwar script as one of the official languages of Sikkim, along with 7 or 8 languages which were spoken in Sikkim, right? The Lepcha, Bhutia, and Limbu, Rai, Bantawa, Gurung, and along with the government of Sikkim recognized to Sunuwar language as one of the official languages. And after giving a recognitions, the Sikkim government actually promoted the Sunuwar script as publishing the gazettes, the government gazettes, school curriculums, and other books or historical journals or newspapers into Sunuwar language as well. So mostly the Sunuwar language, which remained in handwriting, slowly got a presence in the books, in the format of books. And at the same time, in the year 2000, one of the scholars from Nepal actually had got scholarship to study in the one of the renowned university in India called the Jawaharlal Nehru
Yes.
University, right? It was really difficult for him. Jawaharlal Nehru University, and he actually studied the linguist. He was doing his PhD in the linguist, right?
Linguistics, yes.
Yeah, linguistics. So that time, what he did was, with the help of another one of the technical person from another community, he took a help and developed TTF, True Type Fund, for the Sunuwar script as well. And then the Nepal, I mean, though Sunuwar script was not complete, and though in Sikkim officially it was recognized, so that so in order to give a complete, in order to complete that, alphabetical order, he borrowed some script from Devanagari, some script from Srizanga script as well, from Limbu script as well. So, but then for temporary use, he the Lal Rapacha, the one of the linguists now who did a PhD in the linguist in the Sunuwar script, he developed this for the first time True Type Fund, and he promoted into newspaper. So regular newspaper started being published in India, in Sikkim. So though the communities were not able, did not have any contact with the Unicode, or they were not technically sound, and they could not have a connection, or they could not continue with. So in Nepal as well, the government of Nepal expressed the commitment in various international events, right? So some of the international events that I think I better just tell, that in the year 1990s, there was the international communities actually convened the World Declaration on Education for All program. That was in 1990s, and Nepal government was part of this. So as international communities adopted the Education for All plan at the global level, and government of Nepal also expressed its commitment to provide the education to all its citizens. And in the year 2000, the international communities adopted darker framework of actions, which actually talks about the talks about ensuring the rights for all to access the education, right? Access the education. So these international campaign actually helped pressurize government of Nepal as well to ensure the children's right to get the education, including in the in their own language, right? Including their own language. So in the year 2003, 2005, or lastly in 2009, the government of Nepal, in order to fulfill its international commitment, actually adopted the national action plan, national action plan in 2003, 2005, 2009, where the government of Nepal also express its commitment to promote the mother tongue based multilingual education as well. So though the government committed to provide the multilingual educations and the school curriculum text, which were translated into a Devanagari language, but the government translated or developed curriculum to more than 24 curriculums up to grade 5 into different languages, though the medium of language was Devanagari script, right? So though many indigenous communities actually had a script, and these scripts were not much used, so the Devanagari script was used to develop a curriculum. So Sunuwar Welfare Society, the umbrella organization of Nepal, also took the initiative to develop a curriculum up to grade 5 into a Sunuwar language. So the best opportunity for Sunuwar Welfare Society was meeting with translation common representative in 2000 in the year 2000. Right from that on, so it has already been almost 3 years now. We have regularly worked in such a way that the Unicode Technical Committee, in 2022, January 25, if I'm not mistaken, that means now this is the February, we are in April, right? We are in April. So this 2022, January 25, the Unicode Technical Committee actually, they had a meeting, and in their meeting, they approved the Sunuwar script for the future version of the standard. So now we are so lucky to meet with Translation Common and the team, the mobilized by Translation Common, the engineers from Google and different universities, and now the engineers who have been continuously working to develop the fund now. So the Google engineer, Craig, actually has expressed the commitment that once the Unicode makes public of this, Sunuwar script as public, the Sunuwar script, the Google will take up to develop a Noto fund as well. So we are, embarking in that area. So we are hopeful that starting from International Year of Indigenous Languages 2019, the journey to digitize indigenous, Sunuwar script. So during this decade, International Decade of Indigenous Languages, we are hopeful that we have a presence in the internet world. So our script also will have a presence, great presence in this world. So besides what we have been doing, as I told you, that our language mostly is world one. So we are trying to transform from world to the writing system now, writing systems.
Yes.
So as previously, I must tell you that the indigenous television, once we started in the year 2016, August 9, on the occasion of International Day of Indigenous Languages. So for indigenous peoples, for world communities to document their language is the best way is the radio and television, because in television and radio, which best suits for them to document. So we use television as well as radio to document, right? To interview and document the languages. So far, we are really lucky that we have been able to produce TV programs and radio programs into 22 different indigenous languages regularly. So we have a bunch of interview-based programs now archived in the television program. So we are sure that these TV program, I mean, these indigenous languages which have been archived into TV programs will not fade away, will not have extinct, even if they go into extinction, and there is chances to revive them. So we are hopeful that during this decade, we will be able to promote our languages to the higher level. So Jenny, so Julie, I spoke really long.
Thank you. That was wonderful. That's an amazing story. And thank you for giving us the history. I see so many pieces. I have so many questions. But I am wondering how your community has responded to this. In other words, I'm thinking about the difficulty of people learning multiple scripts. Have they said, yes, we want to promote the Sunuwar language coins? Forgive my pronunciation. We want to promote the language and the use of the language, but it is a burden to learn 2 scripts. Are they saying, let's just use Devanagari, or are they excited that the historical script will be available to them? What is your community thinking about the use of the script?
Thank you, Julie. So first of all, what I would like to say is the community were compelled to use the Devanagari script as though they had a script and their script was not, did not have Unicode. So that was not easy to use, right? Easy to use in the computer, easy to use in writing. So if they had no option at all. So after having this news of, Unicode approving Sunuwar Script, now they are really happy that now their language, their script is going to be used. So first of all, they are really happy. Second one is, yes, what you are correct is in Devanagari script, they were really, they were using for not many generations, for many years they are used to, right? And they can type into Devanagari script. Now for them to type into Sunuwar script, it is really difficult for them. You may feel, but now in order to communicate in the Facebook, for instance, I just, if I want to communicate into our language, what I have been doing is I have been Romanizing I have been using the Roman English to talk into a Facebook chat groups or the Twitter, right? That I have borrowed. I have depended on. Not only me, almost all the younger generation who are using messengers have used the Romanized version.
Yeah.
So now once we have Unicode systems, and if our script is useful, or if we can type into our script, obviously the younger generations who are keen in using a computer, obviously they might be happy to use this. Second, the third one is for them, this may be a new, right? This may be a new for them, right? The symbols may be a new. but it is not hard, such a hard for them to learn. If we can provide like 1 to 2 hour classes, we also experimented during this, though because of this COVID, we could not conduct a physical classes, but we conducted some online classes of how to write, this Sunuwar script. Sunuwar script. That time we experimented, we found that the youth are learning within half an hour, within 1 hour, so the challenge is for us is to conduct regular classes. I mean, if we can, so we have to pay little money, at least for the, for not a teacher, but the, to take a classes, we have to pay, we have to pay regular, or, people who come, maybe we have to provide them some tea or cookies. I mean, small, this sort of administrative thing, if we can. So, but then we are really planning to conduct this sort of, online as well as offline classes. And we also have a plan. The opportunity for us is I'm running indigenous television. So through a television, we are planning to teach how to write, not only Sunuwar, but also in other, other script as well. So during this decade, and we are hopeful that we will be able to produce some language learning lessons, right, into a script through a television as well, so that we can reach, or we can archive these kinds of lessons into digital platform as well. So we are trying our best to promote, but to give you a short answer of your question is the Sunuwar community with whom we have talked. So once we initiated the conversation with Translation Common, and up to now, we would see only the printed materials from Sikkim only, the newspapers, the school curriculums, into a script. Even for the Unicode, the evidences of the use of languages, we could provide, majority of them are from Sikkim, but a number of materials which I provided to Unicode committee, mostly handwritten, from Nepal as well. So lately, we also have published a monthly magazine called Hamso, which means light. So into, let me just show you some I think I better, screens here.
Yes,
share
please.
my screen.
Yes.
To show, okay, to show the use of, promotion of, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Here, let's say this is I'm showing this poster. This is not a poster. This is a kind of poster.
Yes.
In the weeding, we have promoted this, like, welcoming. This is the script welcome, right?
It's beautiful.
This is how we are promoting this script here.
Yeah.
And these are the names, handwriting. So now, youth can learn how to, how to write their names into a script. This is one. Another, I would like to show, here we have archived our monthly magazine into a script. Here I have only uploaded the 4 edition. Let me just download these all 4 so that you can see how it looks. And this is the first edition.
Yeah.
Here, here, this is the poem. Uttam Katis, the one of the youth, actually has composed the poem, right? So we also have developed a true type, TTF, right, for the temporary basis, in order to use like into a writing. So from Nepal as well, we have created some, history. And this is the alphabet, right? The alphabetical order of our script to teach for, for the youth who are interested to learn how to compose. Now we have a plan to, how to write into, what is the order or steps of writing. So we have a plan to teach.
Yes.
So this is how we are teaching, and keyboard layout, and we have this. Another, so we have published 4 edition of, this so far 6 editions. So I have uploaded only 4 here. You can find here as well. And I would like to show other some example as well. I've just downloaded here in the downloads. Here is, okay. So here, can you see now this?
Yes, yes, yes.
Here we used in the left side, there is, you can see in Devanagari, we have used Devanagari script, but our language, right?
Yeah.
So here we are using what you call the our script now.
Sure.
So slowly we are promoting this, right?
Yeah.
So this is how we have been using our language, and this actually translation version. These samples I'm showing you is the 2 engineers who are based in New York, I guess, and they are working to translate. We actually, a lot of newspaper or articles, we have used Devanagari script to write our language. So in order to translate these, and 2 engineers are working continuously. So, so this is the latest version that we have, how we have been translating into. So,
and so I'm sorry, are you saying this is an automatic transliteration that they are enabling? Or this is somebody is writing it out?
Yes, yes. This is just like automatic. Once they write this, and this is translation of this.
Yes, yes, I understand. Now that is very interesting. So it sounds like, if I understand you, you've done many things to promote the use of the script. You've had online and offline classes. You made use of the pandemic as a time period to do more online classes, and you promote it at events where people can see the beautiful script along with maybe Devanagari or Romanized version. And you have these publications, and the youth starting to even write poetry using the script. And I love it that that you are focusing on the youth, because they are very, connected to devices. I mean, we all are connected to our devices now. But that is very exciting. And I'm so glad to hear that the community is excited about it. May I ask you, what advice do you have for other people in other parts of the world who are planning to work on their language and digitize their language, so that I know that they may find difficulties? What advice do you have for them so that they can be encouraged to work on digitizing their language?
So my advice for any indigenous groups around the world is, if they are working or if they have devoted their career into a language, keep producing any materials that they plan for, either if they are working to write, let's say, to publish newspaper or books or poetry. Indigenous peoples are good at writing poetry. Actually they are good at literature, so that composed literature in any language that that you are used to, or that means any script that you depend on, but your language, right? So that now our idea now is we're trying to find the ways to translate those script into Sunuwar, I mean in a particular script as well. So another thing is for the oral community, as I said you earlier, that indigenous peoples around the world are oral communities rather than writing. So
Yes.
try to produce the content, either document the language in any medium that you wish. Now, it is really easy for us with the available of smartphones. We can record even visual, and let us develop content, media content, as many as possible, right? So even if you are able to archive them in Facebook, that is okay. So
Yes.
I would like to say that the Maori indigenous language, or the any other the languages that have been revived later on, were actually stored somewhere and recorded, right? So now, if for any indigenous community, even if you don't have a script, rather for you, it is really a good opportunity for you to archive is use your smartphone, archive, speak up, or you do conversation with other colleague, and post in Facebook, post in YouTube. So as many let's say content, you make them available. You can find ways into into what you call the in a website, in internet. So later on, now the technocrats are
Yes. Yes.
technology inventors are using their ideas to make, or let's say to convert those
Yes.
sounds into a writing as well. Right now, in order to write into a Nepali, if we just click one what do you call the click in one what do you call it, one point, that automatically translate that Nepali into our writing system. So
Yeah.
there may be a time that your language can be
Yes.
can be written, so that so my message to you is you don't need to own radio, you don't need to own television, right? For indigenous peoples around the world, just like us, we are really lucky in Nepal that we are living really in democratic country, that we can apply for a license and we can have a license and we can operate. Obviously, the finance is another challenge, but then we're lucky to have a license to operate television and radio. But not many indigenous peoples around the world are lucky enough to obtain license and operate radio and television. For you, the social media are giving opportunity to archive your language. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and many other platforms out there which actually archive the visual, or visual as well as audio. So try to record as many audios as possible and archive somewhere. If you are able to, if you are not able to write into your own script, right? Write into handwriting. Use your handwriting, and then just take the your photographs and share into our Facebooks. And there are the scholars who are actually studying into such minority languages, so they may have interest to explore your languages as well. And try to maintain a relationship, not only work within your own community or your own areas. Try to reach out to other like-minded organizations. So one day, maybe Translation Common will come to your your unique language to document. So you may be lucky enough, right? So that try to reach out to as many scholars as possible, so they may come and help, right? To document, and one day you may be turned to be lucky enough to have this Unicode, or notophone, and so forth. So we are taking really small, what do you call, small steps, but these small steps are actually creating resulting a big result. So I don't know that 3 years, 4 years work that we together with Translation Common that we are undertaking may not bring us changes within a couple of years, but we are trying to create a history for this community and the indigenous peoples around the world. Why I'm saying history is, in Nepal, as I said, 59 indigenous groups have been recognized as indigenous groups. Out of 59, two indigenous communities have a script, have Unicode of their script. One is Limbu, they have a Srizanga. Another is Newar, right? So their script actually were initiated from Sikkim, India. So Sunuwar script actually was initiated from Nepal. So for many indigenous peoples in Nepal, so we are actually being a role model for them, how we initiated the journey to the Unicode, and now not stopping with the Unicode, going to the notophone and other percents, so that we can so. And lately I am, and other indigenous communities are coming to me saying that how they can develop their script. So slowly I'm grooming to Gurung indigenous language, so that they actually have started now. So I could connect this Gurung Khmer script with the Unicode team. So they are starting. So hopefully next 3 to 4 years, they will have Unicode. Other communities are coming, and we are just showing them way how to do, how to develop evidences, how to generate the content. So as many content as possible, if you can produce, so there are chances that your script will be available in the Unicode or in the internet world. So for indigenous peoples around the world, try to produce content as many as possible, right? Whatever you think possible in your hand, right? Maybe content in social media or newspaper, handwriting books, or whatever. So that is good way to start with.
That's a beautiful message, and I love it. Content production, and the fact that even if they don't have the ability to have a license for a radio station or television, there are social media where they can record it. I love it. That is such a great message. And it is true, like you say, if you can record your language in any script that is available to you, it is possible to have experts who can create a transliteration, an automatic transliteration, so that when you have your language, maybe it's written in Latin characters, maybe it's written in Devanagari, maybe it's written in Arabic script, maybe it's written in Cyrillic, but we can do an automatic transliteration. May not be perfect, maybe a human will read it and correct it, but that is a way to create a lot of content. And so I love your message. It's very encouraging. And I want to thank you very much, Dev, for discussing this with me today. And I hope you will join us again and give us an update on how it's going with your language. And I wish you good luck. And I'm very grateful for the time you spent with us today.
Thank you, Julie, for this opportunity, and I'm hopeful that I could answer your questions, and the explanations I made is, I'm hopeful that this will encourage many indigenous peoples around the world to work towards.
Yes.
And another the good opportunity this time for indigenous peoples around the world is the UN has taken the global campaign called the International Decade of Indigenous Languages. And as the UN has taken a leadership, universities, institutions, and the technocrats or corporates are coming together to help the indigenous languages to revitalize, and work on. So this is an opportunity for us to speak up, to take the initiative, to build a network, and to revive or protect or preserve our language throughout this decades. And I'm hopeful that we together can bring the changes, or
yes,
this is
thank you. That is a beautiful message. And we at Translation Commons do invite anyone who is interested in digitizing their language to contact us, because that's what we're interested in. And we need the connection with the community leaders, such as as Dev Kumar Sunuwar, who is working on his language, we need that connection so that we can learn, are the materials that we're creating, are they really helping? How can we help? And how can we improve our system? But we would love to put you in touch with the people who can help you. So we do invite people, anybody, to contact us at Translation Commons. So thank you very much. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Yes. And thank you for this opportunity. Look
Sure.
forward to talking to you again too.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.